care like this. I want to work.
I beg you. You go hear me bring one of these chairs. Huh? I will come out this one from here. Let me bring one of these chairs. Make I use take set this thing. And then one or two. No, come close. No, come close. So now help you. So Rivers State government approved 85,000 naira minimum wage, and it's just about the same amount of monies that Lagos State also approved for its workers. And I personally think that we're still joking. We're still joking, really. If you want to start, you can start. Don't tell me to sit up.
Don't balance.
Yeah, I'm good. Welcome to Global News. I'm Charles Pies. In the headlines, Rivers State government approves 85,000 naira minimum wage for civil servants. DSS operatives slam 5 billion naira suit against Sarap over alleged defamation. Biden says there is no consensus about long-range weapons for Ukraine, and Russia and Ukraine swap 95 war prisoners each. Details shortly.
It's your phone. Yeah.
Rivers State government has joined Lagos to approve a minimum wage of 85,000 naira for civil servants in the state. This was disclosed by the head of service of the state, Dr. George Nweke, who announced that the approval was granted by Governor Simelai Fabara during a closed-door meeting with labor leaders and senior government officials Friday, 18th of October at Government House. Nweke confirmed that the implementation of the new minimum wage will take effect immediately. On their part, the chairman of the joint negotiation team, Chukwu Emecheta, On their part, the chairman of the joint negotiation team, Chukwu Emechatat, praised Governor Fubara for meeting the expectations of Rivers State workers. He expressed appreciation for the governor's commitments to the workforce. Also speaking, the chairman of the Nigerian Labour Congress in Rivers State, Alex Agwanwo, noted that the minimum wage will greatly alleviate the economic hardships faced by workers in the state. It is important to state this. Lagos raised their minimum wage. Government announced 70,000 naira. Some states in the southwest, or your others, said 77,000 naira. Rivers is matching Lagos at 85,000 naira. Now, guess what? I believe that now that there has been a proper deregulation of the downstream sector, there is more money that the government is having. It means that right now we can ask for at least the minimum of a 200,000 naira minimum wage. I tell you that for free. You know why? So this is how it works. Before now, when government usually pays subsidy, they complain bitterly that the monies that they make from oil, instead of implementing it and using it to pay salaries, create jobs and all of these other things, that they use the monies to pay for subsidy, to give marketers. Sometimes these marketers defraud the government. Of course, it's always a defrauding going on within that space. And then they pay these monies to the tune of trillions over. I mean, it's unquantifiable. I'm not even sure NNPC has that record. It is unimaginable the amount of monies we've spent with subsidies. So those monies that the government, I'll be back to you. The House of Representatives says it has created a website for public engagement on a bill for independent candidates in the country. Investigative hearing on alleged oil thefts, pipeline vandalism, and its environmental effect in oil-producing states continue. Senate passes vote of confidence on Senate President. Details from the National Assembly. Now we have time. So those monies that have been saved up from giving to marketers is now with the government. Government now have that money. The other day, Wale Adun was saying that the government now has over 10 trillion naira saved up already from the subsidy. A few days back, we heard about over 1.2 trillion that is being given to states as in monthly sharing formula. This time last year, we're in October, right? This time last year, the government shared around 600 billion. 600 billion, that's everything that they shared, the entire 36 states shared. Now, they shared almost 1.3 trillion across the states. What does that tell you? There's actually more monies that the government now has. That is at the federal government level, right? Now, on the state level, we've seen how prices of things have skyrocketed. Lagos, internally generated revenue for Lagos, moved from 400 billion to around 600 billion. This thing I'm telling you, it's verifiable. You just go and check. River State also improved their own internally generated revenue from over 300 billion to around 500 billion. Anambra, the same thing. Delta, the same thing. Like their monies, the IGR keeps going up, and even their allocation to those states keep going up. Why? If you must deregulate, you must also be sure that the salaries of those who are in one way or another that has that is around 30,000 naira, 70,000 naira must be upped. That must go up. You know why? Prices of things have gone up, owing to the fact that there is higher transportation costs, exacerbated by the removal of fuel subsidy. It is only one way to go when it comes to these things. It's only one place to go. Higher prices, and you must also increase the prices of minimum wage, so that there'll be a semblance of some things that have to do with issues like this. That is exactly what I'm trying to say. Now, coming down to the states, River State giving 85,000 naira, Lagos giving 85,000 naira. I think more states should increase minimum wage. It is not only Lagos or Rivers. In fact, personally, I think that Lagos and Rivers should be doing 200,000. I think that Lagos should be doing 200,000 naira minimum wage. Rivers should also be doing around 200,000 naira minimum wage. Anambra, Delta should be doing 200,000 naira minimum. Then others, we should just come down a bit, maybe around 100,000. And that's the same. If you go to other climes or other countries, they don't have a specific amount for each state do minimum wage. They have, of course, the baseline, which is the government's minimum wage, and then each state decides, to either go up, or they wouldn't go below what the baseline has given. So 85,000 naira minimum wage should not be celebrated. There is more monies that the government has. We have seen over time that governments of Nigeria, this is not about federal government, but across board, including states and local government, do not use the monies to build infrastructure, do not use the monies to do things, to practically, create jobs for the reasons why the monies were even made in the first place. It's not to better the lives of people. So if the monies, for crying out loud, are not used for these developmental things, I believe that money should be channeled to salaries. There'll be more monies in the hands of people to be able to go around. Some people will argue, if you do that, private sector might also be stuck. If you do that, private sector might also have issues with paying, and they might be rushed out of work. Who says that the government's jobs cannot pay higher than private sector? Who says? Where is it written that it is not possible, or economically it is wrong for a private sector or for government to pay higher than private sector? Who says? Where is it written? Which economist wrote that book that says that? So even if government decides to up its minimum wage and pay workers a certain amount, it depends on the work that you do. If the private sector decides that this is the amount that they want to pay, and the government money is higher, then everybody goes to government work. Then efficiency returns. So it means that the private sector have to step things up. And who told you that private sectors cannot pay? When it comes to giving more monies to the masses, to Nigerian populace, it becomes a problem. When it comes to talking about how to better the welfare of Nigerian masses, it becomes a problem. But when it comes to increasing of salaries of a few people in the National Assembly, in the judiciary, we've seen over time the president increase judiciary workers' salaries by over 300%. This verified is over 300%. National Assembly, go and check their budgets and how much they used to earn just 2 years ago and how much they're earning now. Go and check. Those ones increase in their extra codes and their salaries will not cause inflation. But when it comes to the Nigerian worker earning commensurately what they should earn as workers who are devoted to their job, who are supposed to be patriotic, no, it will cause inflation. Inflation will rise. And I see people even supporting this menace. We've seen what the NLC president said, that he was deceived, that Tinubu invited them. They spoke about the fact that, if you insist on 200,000 naira minimum wage, then you are sure that you're going to increase the fuel. Why? I mean, it's clear now that he would have agreed, because it was always going to be a plan for the Nigerian government to deregulate. If they knew they had it in mind all this while to deregulate the downstream sector, why didn't they accept? Why didn't they put it at 200,000? Since that's what's on the table, why didn't they accept that? Why didn't they agree? But of course, it's a government of dissits. You say one thing and do another thing just because. It's so unfortunate, really, and I feel the pain of every single Nigerian. I am a Nigerian. I live in Nigeria, and so you can imagine what's going on with families who earn less than 70,000. Even if you earn 500,000 naira, no matter how much you earn in Nigeria, it's almost useless, because at 1,000 naira per liter for fuel, 1,200, 1,300 for fuel, I mean, you are sure that money is going to be quite useless. And because of the price of fuel, every other thing in the market have actually gone up. And because they've gone up, whatever you earn is affected by whatever it is that they are bringing to the table, or whatever it is that you are earning. We're back to the news. We'll be back shortly. President Bola Tinubu has extended warm congratulations to the Oba of Benin, AU Aari II, as he marks his 71st birthday on October 20, which commemorates the 80th anniversary of his ascension to the revered throne of the ancestors. In a statement released by the special advisor to the President, Bayo Onanuga, on Saturday, Tinubu lauded the reign of the 40th Oba of Benin, noting that since his coronation in 2016, Oba AU Aari II has ushered in a new era of peace, understanding, and civility among the people of Benin Kingdom. The president highlighted the monarch's distinguished career in diplomacy, which had influenced his leadership. Prior to his ascension, Oba AU Aari II served as Nigeria's ambassador to several countries, including Angola, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, and Italy. Tinubu commended how his diplomatic experience has contributed to the Oba's ability to lead with wisdom and grace. He also praised the monarch's steadfast commitments to preserving the rich cultural heritage and traditions of the Benin Kingdom. The Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, says it has deposited 30 billion naira in the Bank of Industry to grow small and medium enterprises in the 9 states in the region. The managing director of the NDDC, Chief Samuel Obuku, said this on Friday in Akure during the sensitization on the establishment of the Niger Delta Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Trade, Mines, and Agriculture. Obuku, represented by the Ondo State representatives in the NDDC, Otito Atikase, said that the money was the Commission's counterpart funds for disbursements to entrepreneurs, nano, and other beneficiaries to grow their respective enterprises. He said that the initiative would give loan to beneficiaries who could not get loan from conventional financial institutions. The NDDC boss also said that the gesture was born out of a sincere, lasting solution to the challenges plaguing businesses in the Niger Delta region. It said that the initiative would help to ensure that the development was brought to the people of the region through genuine processes of economically empowering them. Obuku further said that the Commission was committed to working closely with NDDC's ITMA to design a pathway of prosperity for people that would complement ongoing projects, HOPE and IFAD. Also speaking, the Executive Director of Projects, NDDC, Victor Atang, said that the event was to raise awareness about the establishment of the NDCC ITMA and also explore the vast opportunities it's represented across various economic sectors. A financial expert, Dr. Olutayo Obadina, has advised President Bola Tinubu to intensify efforts in strengthening the Naira through taking conscious steps to uphold exports and minimize importation. Obadina gave the advice during a news conference in Lagos on Friday. He said that the only way out of the economic hardship in the country was for the federal government to strengthen the Naira. He noted that Nigeria's economic hardship was not occasioned by the removal of the fuel subsidy, but the constant devaluation of Naira. Analyzing the dollar rate to Naira right from time, as well as fuel landing cost, pump price per liter, and purchase price, Obadina noted that the dollar cost of importing fuel had been the same over the years, even when other costs changed. He, however, said this pointed to the fact that the naira should be strengthened in view of the fact that few transactions were made in dollar. Meanwhile, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Doris Uzoka Anita, says the inauguration of the Nigerian Export Promotion Council (NEPC) Export Skills Acquisition Center will build the capacity of youth and women. The minister made this known at the inauguration of the Export Skill Acquisition Center and Fashion Innovative Hub for Women and Youths on Friday in Lagos. The NEPC, in collaboration with Liluk Nigeria Limited, established the ESAC to facilitate skill development in innovative bag making and related accessory. She commended the NEPC for establishing ESAC, describing it as a crucial step aligned with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda aimed at economic growth, job creation, and poverty alleviation. She acknowledged the challenges faced by African fashion designers compared to their Western counterparts, stating that the establishment of the center aims to tackle these fundamental issues hindering export growth and economic diversification. The minister said that the Skill Acquisition Center would offer specialized training programs covering a range of export-related skills, including product development, quality control, and international trade regulations. Two operatives of the Department of State Services, DSS, have dragged the Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, before a High Court of the Federal Capital Territory for allegedly making false allegations against them. They are equally seeking a public apology and demanding the sum of 5 billion naira as damages suffered as a result of SERAP's alleged false publication. In a suit filed on October 17th by their team of lawyers led by Kinlolu Kehinde, a senior advocate of Nigeria, the operatives alleged that SERAP had, in a post on its X handle, brought them and the DSS to ridicule when it accused them of invading and interrogating some staff members at their Abuja office. According to Sarah, John, and Gabriel Ogunleye, first and second claimants, the DSS had on September 9, 2024, directed them to SERAP's office to invite the new leadership of the organization for a familiarization meeting, which they did, and that shortly after they left the office, SERAP posted on X that DSS officers are unlawfully occupying the SERAP office in Abuja. The tweet had subsequent statements by SERAP, which went viral on social media and was widely circulated and broadcast in major media outlets in the country. The claim attracted wide condemnation from the public, including a senior lawyer, Femi Falana, and further attracted condemnation on the two claimants who had visited SERAP's office on that September 9th. They further claimed that SERAP's statements caused harm to their reputation because the staff and management of the DSS have formed the opinion that the claimants did not follow orders and carried out unsanctioned operations. The wife of Abia State Governor Priscilla Oti on Friday distributed 500 bags of 25 kg rice and other food items to persons with disabilities (PWDs) in the state. In a speech during the exercise in Umuahia, Oti said that the initiative was meant to cushion the impact of the current economic challenges faced by PWDs. The items were part of federal government-sponsored palliative materials to the states and the federation to alleviate the impact of the economic hardship. Oti said that the prevailing economic hardship has denied many families the opportunity to enjoy standard living condition. According to her, the federal government is working with the relevant stakeholders in the food value chain to end the challenges of high costs of food. She commended the federal government for extending the gesture to Abia. Oti said that the state government was also determined to continue to prioritize the affairs of PWDs because the gains derived from disability inclusion contributes to the development of society. The Commissioner for Poverty Alleviation and Social Protection, Blessing Felix, described the palliative materials as a symbol of government's recognition of the challenges facing PWDs in their daily life. Felix also thanks the federal government for its continued commitments to the cause of PWDs in the country. Still to come, First Bank Nigeria Holdings appoints Adebowale Oyedeji as General Managing Director. WHO urges Nigeria to accelerate healthcare reforms. Details in a moment. So, I have to go back to the news. This is a very short break. Welcome back. You're watching Global News with Charles. Fbn Holdings PLC has appointed Ado Alo as its Group Managing Director, GMD, effective November 13th. Adewale or Adewale Arungundade, Company Secretary of the Holdings, confirmed this in a notification sent to the Nigerian Exchange Limited (NGX) on Friday in Lagos. Arungundade said that the appointment was subject to the approval of the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) and ratification of the firm's shareholders at the annual general meeting of the company. He added that the Oyedeji, a seasoned professional, would replace Nnamdi Okonkwo, who would retire after completing his term. Oyedeji holds a Bachelor of Science in Agricultural Economics from the University of Ibadan and a Master of Science in Finance Economics or Financial Economics from the University of London. He is also a Fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria (ICANN) and an alumnus of Harvard Business School's Advanced Management Program. The new GMD has over 30 years of experience in banking, spanning corporate banking, treasury, commercial banking, and general management. Group Chairman Femi Otedola welcomed Oyedeji and expressed confidence that he would build on the 130-year-old franchise solid foundation and sustain its leadership position. Meanwhile, the Executive Chairman, Courier and Logistics Management Institute's Professor Simon M. Omeje, said Courier and logistics subsector could boost Nigeria's gross domestic product (GDP) by 60% if fully tapped. Emeja said this at a news conference organized by the professional body to announce its upcoming CLMI International Conference and Investiture on Friday in Lagos. The conference and investiture, slated for November 14th, will take place in Lagos. The CLMI boss said that the tapping into the industry with assets worth over 15 trillion required regulatory excellence and innovation. Emeja, who expressed dissatisfaction that the full potential of the sector was yet to be tapped, urged the government to entrench regulations that would drive innovation, investment, and growth. Speaking on the role of the CLMI, Emeja said that the institute was dedicated to supporting Nigeria's economic growth by bridging the gap between industry needs and government policies. He noted that the courier services played an important role in driving efficiency and meeting customers' demands. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has called on the federal government to expedite healthcare reforms to meet Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) targets. WHO country representative to Nigeria, Dr. Walter Mulumbo, made this appeal in Abuja at the closing of a two-day training initiative for health journalists. The training with the theme Empowering Journalists to Drive the Change Narrative with Compelling Data-Driven Health Stories aimed at equipping journalists with the skills to drive change through compelling storytelling. Mulumbo noted that only 17% of the SDG healthcare targets were on track, emphasizing that the need for swift action to achieve these goals. He stressed that the importance of shifting from pilot projects to delivering large-scale quality healthcare solutions and fostering collaboration between the government and citizens. Mulumbo also highlighted Nigeria's ranking of 187th out of 191 countries in the healthcare performance as unacceptable. Mulumbo urged journalists to collaborate with healthcare experts to ensure accurate information reached the public. In celebration of the United Nations World Food Day, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has called for action on food security at the Lagos Farm Fair held at the Police College, Ikeja. The event's themes Rights to Foods for a Better Life and a Better Future underscore the significance of agriculture and smallholder farmers in driving sustainable development and ensuring access to nutritious food for all Nigerians. He emphasized the need for ongoing public-private partnerships to combat hunger and malnutrition across the country. Odiri Erewa Megison, Board Director of the British American Tobacco Nigeria BATN Foundation, reaffirmed the foundation's long-standing dedication to empowering Nigeria's agricultural sector. She highlighted BATN supports to cover 300,000 smallholder farmers and the positive impact on more than 1.7 million lives nationwide over the last 2 decades. The wife of Lagos State Governor Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu has urged parents to vaccinate their children against preventable childhood diseases to safeguard their health and future. Sanwo-Olu gave the charge at the flag-off ceremony of the Lagos State Supplemental Immunization Activities held at the Ifako Ijaye local government area on Friday. The immunization, which will commence in all 57 local government development agencies of the state on October 19th, is in partnership with the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF. 85% of the Lagos residents from 9 months to 44 years is projected to receive yellow fever vaccine booster doses. There will also be measles vaccines for children from 9 months to 18 months. Others are HPV vaccines against cervical cancer for females aged 9 years to 14 years and polio vaccines, among other routine immunization. Sanwo-Olu, represented by his wife of the Senior Special Advisor on Mineral Resources to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, appealed to parents and other adults to take advantage of the SIAs to break the circle of preventable diseases. Sanwo-Olu said that the vaccination would significantly reduce mortality rates, which align with the state government's development plan for 2015. She praised UNICEF, World Health Organization, and others for working with the state government to curtail the outbreak of vaccine-preventable diseases. Prominent Nigerians in the likes of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Goodluck Jonathan, Ibrahim Babangida, and President Bola Tinubu have celebrated retired General Yakubu Gowon as he marked 90th birthday celebration. The dignitaries who spoke at the public lecture in commemoration of the Gowon's birthday anniversary urged younger generation and present leaders to emulate his lifestyle of uniting the country. President Tinubu at the event celebrated in Abuja on Friday praised Gowon for his remarkable achievements for Nigeria. Tinubu, who was represented by Senator George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, said that Nigerians would not forget Gowon for his indelible marks in the country. Also, former President Olusegun Obasanjo described Gowon as a man of destiny, adding that Gowon's birthday celebration was a national one, which would remain a memorial in his mind. Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Alhaji Muhammad Abubakar III, said Gowon's life was worthy of emulation, looking at his past contribution to the growth of Nigeria. According to Abubakar, Gowon, as a former head of state, had during his time as the head of government fought hard for the unity of Nigeria. Also, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, President, African Development Bank Group, who delivered birthday celebration lecture on building a global Nigeria, said Gowon remained the greatest father and exceptional global leader. Adesina, who recalled Gowon's commitments and achievements, called on the current leaders to embark on building a global Nigeria that would stand out among nations of the world. Responding, Gowon expressed gratitude to God for sparing his life. He thanked all the dignitaries present, including President Tinubu and other Nigerians, both home and abroad, for celebrating with him. The National Orientation Agency, NOA, says the demise of Jonathan Silas Zwingina has deprived the nation of a grassroots mobilizer and courageous patriots who stood against disunity and falling moral fabric of the nation. In a condolence message to the family of the late patriots, the NOA Director General, Malam Lanre Isa Onilu, described the late Jonathan Zwingina as a gifted and rigorous mobilizer who, in both private and public life, stood for the unity, progress, and development of the nation. He said Zwingina, as a pioneer director in the former mass mobilizer for self-reliance, social justice, and economic recovery, MAMSA, now NOA, was one of the officers that laid the foundation for the agency's work in preaching the virtues of hard work, integrity, sincerity, forthrightness, and tolerance, which has remained the core values of our nation. Onilu noted that devotion of Zwingina to family and community values as he spoke for unity and development of the country, adding that he used his oratory to propagate unity, love, peace, and oneness in Nigeria at a time when many fanned the embers of disunity and disintegration. While condoling with his family, the Director General urged them to take solace in the many accomplishments of the politicians, especially his devotion to the cause of unity in the country, which has earned him both admiration and recognition from across social, ethnic, religious, and political affiliations. The family of Layton's Felix Ugu Ozualo, Ozualo, Nwadumegu, Umweziani, and the entire people of Amekeungu and beyond gathered on Friday to bid farewell to their beloved son who had lived for 102 years of age. Signature TV correspondent Chinemere Mikebunam was at the solemn funeral service. So, there is no reason why we should be celebrating 85,000 naira minimum wage. And I wonder why, when Lagos State announced 85,000 naira minimum wage, it didn't trend like what River State, it did. So 85,000 naira minimum wage should not be celebrated. We must strive to be sure that the government of the day accounts for the extra monies that has been saved from the removal of oil subsidies, from the deregulation of the sector, more monies that are now available to the government. And so because of that, the new normal, which is supposed to be, which was 75,000 naira, at the time, price of fuel was 600 naira. In some places, 650, 700, some places as well. So at that time, it was 70,000 naira. But now that there's a total deregulation, meaning more monies for the government, that particular amount should be spread. The government should be looking to extend the minimum wage from 70 to something around 120, so that other private firms can also adjust their the so-called amount. Because I don't know why in this country we tend to, I don't know, we tend to have this thing, we tend to worship our leaders. These guys are supposed to be our servants. That is what they're supposed to be, your servants. Your monies are used. I mean, take a look at it. None of them have in any way, in fact, if there is a way to even extend people's tenure at the presidential level, even at the governorship level, people like Wike will do it now, you know. These people are voted into these positions in order to use resources that this country has made to better your lives. That is the only reason why they are there. They are not there because it is their right to be there. You also have the right to be a governor. You also have the right to be a local government chairman. You also have the right to be a president. And so when you see things that are going wrong, especially when it is to the greater bad of the people, you condemn it. So I call on the government and Labour to go back to the negotiation table and negotiate a more moderate minimum wage that is not 85,000 naira, please. That is not 85,000 naira. Please, if you're the one that is excited about 85,000 naira, stop it. Stop it, please. It is wrong to be excited and be hailing governors. Is the money their own? Did they end? Is it their money? Is it their personal money? And then we're excited. For what? Just give me a second, I'll be back. Still to come, Kenya's activists criticized deputy president's appointments, citing protest deaths. UK stammerer reiterates calls for Middle East ceasefire and support for Ukraine. These and more after the break. To stay with us. So stop this eulogization. Stop this worshipping of leaders who are supposed to be serving us 85,000 naira minimum wage with 1,200 naira fuel, and you're happy. Welcome back. This is Global News with Charles. Kenyan activists criticized President William Ruto's nomination of Kithure Kindiki as deputy president on Friday, citing his role as interior minister during deadly protest earlier this year. Ruto named Kindiki to replace Rigathi Gachagua, who was impeached by the Senate on Thursday. However, a court order has reportedly or temporarily blocked Kindiki's appointment until October 24th, when judges will hear a case challenging Gachagua's removal. Human rights activists in Nairobi expressed dismay over Kindiki's nomination, linking him to the deaths of over 60 people during demonstrations against tax hikes and the cost of living in July and August. They planted trees to honor those killed and called for accountability. As it stands, at least these 4 states that I will call should be doing nothing less than 200K minimum wage. Lagos, Rivers, Delta, Anambra should, as a matter of urgency, immediately do a 200,000 naira minimum wage. That is the only thing that is commensurate with the hardship that is up right now. All of the places that these oil, I keep saying these things, go and check. All of the places, especially on the African continent, that that oil has been deregulated and market forces are the ones actually competing. The price is not 1,200, it's not 1,300. Go and check. Angola, Libya, Egypt, Algeria, just name it. The prices of fuel there, it's way lower, way lower than what we have. And go and check the minimum wage too. Some residents of Nairobi's Mathare neighborhood who rejected Kindiki's appointments connecting him to controversial housing demolitions along riverbanks, which they say caused significant distress in affected communities. Kenyan analysts suggested that the protests and their violence aftermath likely contributed to Gachagua's impeachment and Kindiki's subsequent nomination. Gachagua, who helped Ruto secure votes in central Kenya during the 2022 election, had recently spoken of being sidelined amidst reports of a rift with the president. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden said on Friday that there was no consensus for giving Ukraine long-range weapons that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been requesting Western nations for months to conduct deeper strikes into Russia. Right now, there is no consensus for long-range weapons, Biden told reporters in Berlin. U.S. President Joe Biden concluded his brief visit to Berlin, where he held closed-door talks with allied German Chancellor Olaf Scholz to discuss matters ranging from Ukraine to the expanding conflict in the Middle East. Before the bilateral meeting, Biden spoke to reporters and urged the West to sustain its support for Ukraine against Russia's full-scale invasion as Kyiv faces a bleak winter and the looming U.S. presidential election raises worries about the strength of Washington's own resolve. Biden's trip came just 2.5 weeks before the U.S. presidential vote, where former President Donald Trump, the Republican nominee, is seeking re-election in a dead-heat race against Vice President Kamala Harris, the Democratic candidate. Trump has signaled he would be more reluctant than Biden to continue to support Ukraine, which could deprive Kyiv of its biggest military and financial backer. He has also indicated the U.S. aid to allies in the NATO Western Military Alliance would come with conditions attached. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and French President Emmanuel Macron joined Biden and Scholz on Friday afternoon for talks focused largely on how to end the fighting in Ukraine as Russian forces advance in the east. Earlier on Friday, Biden met Germany's President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, who awarded him Germany's highest order of merit, the Grand Cross of the Order of Merit, given for special achievements. And elsewhere, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has reiterated calls for a ceasefire in Gaza and the release of Israeli hostages, as well as reinforcing Western support for Ukraine in its war against Russia. Starmer's comments came after he met French President Macron, U.S. President Biden, and German Chancellor Scholz on Friday afternoon for talks in the German capital focused largely on the Middle East and Russian aggression in Ukraine. as much as possible, do the needful. Ask governors. Now I mentioned 4 states that should go straight to 200,000 naira: Delta, Anambra, Rivers, and Lagos. This is because of the fact that these states have 13% derivatives. They have a very large internally generated revenue, and they also have federal locations that is quite a handful. So they can chest that 200,000 minimum wage in order to cushion the effect of what has happened with the price of everything skyrocketing because of the price of fuel. Other states in the north, because we know other states in the north have they're not able to cater for themselves. United Nations Humanitarian Office accused Israel of using warlike tactics against Palestinians on the occupied West Bank, citing killings by soldiers and attacks on Palestinian olive groves by Israeli settlers. The OCHA reports said around 600 mainly olive trees have been burnt, vandalized, or stolen by settlers since the start of the harvest. It included a picture of a Palestinian man standing next to an olive tree stump with its branches sawn off. An eyewitness video, also shared by OCHA on social media, showed several cut and damaged olive trees lying in a field said to be in Kusra, West Bank. Israeli military said, as with every year, it was working to secure the area to let people get on with the harvest. The harvest season was planned and coordinated with all relevant parties, and IDF forces are providing security in designated areas, it added. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Friday that he had asked the Defense Ministry to work on proposals for possible weapons exports. We think of an exports ban imposed during the war against Russia would be a dramatic change in government policies as Ukraine defends itself against a much larger and better equipped enemy. Zelensky told Ukrainian TV that the exports would be possible only to Ukraine's allies in the Ramstein group, which coordinates military support for Kyiv. Ukraine has transformed its weapons production industry since Russia's invasion in February 2022, quickly ramping up production of drones in particular and all other weapons. Officials have said that the Ukraine tripled its overall domestic weapons production in 2023 and then doubled that volume again in just the first 8 months of this year. Zelensky said that he expected a White House team to visit Ukraine soon with feedback on the victory plans presented to Western leaders earlier. He said in an interview with Ukrainian media that he agreed with U.S. President Joe Biden that Ukraine would be receiving assistance packages quickly, likely every 2-3 weeks in the upcoming months. Zelensky said that Ukraine's allies were pushing for the country to lower its military draft age, but that he saw no reason to do so. Under current laws, only men aged between 25 and 60 can be mobilized into Ukraine's military, which is fighting off a full-scale Russian invasion. Meanwhile, videos released by Ukraine's State Emergency Services on Saturday, October 19th, showed rescued personnel fighting to extinguish a fire at a building following what officials said was a Russian missile strike in a residential district in Ukraine's Black Sea port of Odessa. An official city telegram channel said a 3-story building had sustained damage along with 10 private homes to casualties were reported, and no casualties were reported. Reuters was not able to independently verify the location or the date when the video was filmed. There was no independent verification of the report. Odessa and port facilities in the region have come under increased Russian attack in recent weeks. Video released by the Ukrainian ombudsman on Saturday showed prisoners of war reuniting with loved ones after Ukraine and Russia said they exchanged 95 service members on Friday. The Russian Defense Ministry said an agreement was completed with the help of the United Arab Emirates acting as mediator. A private Russian group, which says it looks after the interest of prisoners of war, published a list of returnees and said most of those being brought home were captured in the Kursk region, where Ukrainian forces staged an incursion in August. Those forces remain in Kursk, though Russia's military says its forces have clawed back some of the captured territory. Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Friday that Moscow needs to secure conditions for a lasting peace in Ukraine, which he said would help ensure Moscow's long-term security interests. The Kremlin leader was speaking to reporters ahead of a summit of the BRICS countries next week, hosted by Russia in the city of Kazan. Putin is keen to build up BRICS, which has expanded to include Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates, as well as Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa as a powerful counterweight to the West's in global politics and trade. Thousands of protesters, mainly Houthi supporters, rallied in Yemen's capital Sana'a to commemorate the Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, who was killed during an operation by Israeli soldiers in the Gaza Strip on Wednesday. The rally saw demonstrators chanting slogans and holding posters of Sinwar, while large billboard screens displayed his image. Protesters, including children, were seen holding rifles, while others waved Palestinian and Lebanese flags. Rockets fired towards Israel were visible from Lebanon's small town of Majouin. Lebanese group Hezbollah early on Friday announced the transition to a new and escalating phase in the confrontation with Israel. Earlier in the day, Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati and Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni agreed that a diplomatic solution must take precedence over violence. Meanwhile, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni met with Lebanese Parliament Speaker Nabi Berril in Beirut on Friday. The meeting took place after Meloni held a news conference with Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati, where they agreed that a diplomatic solution must take precedence over violence. Meloni called for the strengthening of the UN peacekeeping mission to Lebanon, known as UNIFIL, during the news conference. The UN peacekeeping mission in Lebanon said it had come under several deliberate attacks by Israeli forces in recent days, and efforts to help civilians in villages in the war zone were being hampered by Israeli shelling. Meanwhile, French Prime Minister Michel Barnier and Italy's Deputy Prime Minister Antonio Tajani pledged to bolster the two countries' cooperation against illegal immigration. France and Italy will, among other steps, create a joint police team to investigate migrants trafficking, Barnier told reporters in Menton at the border with Italy. There have been tensions and much criticism between France and Italy, both European Union members, over the past years over the politically sensitive issue of immigration. But at a time when the two are among countries pushing the European Union to toughen its stance on immigration, and with a new government in place in France, they pledged to turn the page. Speaking to reporters on the Italian side of the border, Tajani said that the two countries had identical views on immigration, including the need to work together and exchange best practices. Meanwhile, a Rome court on Friday rejected orders to detain a group of migrants in a reception facility in Albania and said they had rights to be brought to Italy, dealing a blow to Meloni's plan to divert asylum seekers abroad. And that's the news this hour. Many thanks for watching. I'm Charles Pius. Have yourselves a good afternoon. So the news is over. And it's important to note these things that I have said. It's not a good thing to be excited about government paying minimum wage 85,000 naira. They should pay more. That's the import of this video. And secondly, stop celebrating these leaders who have your monies. It's not their personal monies to say, oh, they have used their monies for some philanthropic work. It is not. It is your money. And so don't celebrate mediocrity. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Don't celebrate mediocrity, because even you can do better than them if monies are available to you every month to just establish healthcare, to just establish infrastructure. A Tom, Dick, and Harry, an idiot, can do that. Okay? So don't give them this, this prop up as if there's something so fantastic that they have done, giving you 85,000 naira minimum wage, 70,000 naira minimum wage. With that humongous amount of money is being saved, nah. Labor should be quick and should be quick about these negotiations. They should ask for more in terms of what they should be able to earn to commensurate with the amounts that the fuel price increase has done. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate you guys. God bless. See you later.